If you are feeling the squeeze, rents rising, groceries rising, fees everywhere, and you know deep down that something is wrong with the way the system works, this message is for you. I believe XRP is a gift from God. If you are meant to hear this, you will feel it. The right people are being reached at the right time because a wealth transfer is underway, and the chosen are being called to steward it. This is not financial advice. It is my conviction, my research, and my testimony. Pray and meditate on it. If your spirit says no or not now, honor that. In 2018, I received the clearest inner instruction of my life: hold XRP. It did not come as hype, it came as peace. A steady peace that returned in prayer and in silence, a soul knowing that did not move even when headlines screamed and prices swung. Since then, I have noticed something unusual. Many people on YouTube, people who are not crypto obsessed, have described dreams and sudden impressions about XRP, about buying a little, about holding, and about a coming wealth transfer meant for stewardship, not greed. I do not treat dreams as trading signals. I treat them as confirmation that messages are being transmitted to those who are called. Prepare quietly, act responsibly, and be ready to bless others. Here is the simple truth about why XRP matters. We can send a photo around the world in seconds, but moving money across borders, dollars to colognes, still crawls along old rails. Transfers bounce through middlemen, fees hide in the shadows, and true settlement can take days. To keep that legacy machine from stalling, banks park cash in special accounts in other countries so payments do not get stuck. Analysts have pointed to more than $27 trillion sitting in these accounts. That is dormant capital that could help people, but it is trapped just to prop up outdated settlement. You and I feel that trap as worse foreign exchange, surprise fees, and delays. XRP and the XRP ledger exist to cut through that. Think of the ledger as neutral rails that anyone can use. Think of XRP as the standard container that value can ride in. Instead of pre-parking money everywhere, a payment can go dollars to XRP to colognes and settle in a few seconds with a tiny fee. The XRP ledger was launched in 2012. It closes new ledgers in roughly 3 to 5 seconds. The base fee is about 100,000th of 1 XRP, 10 drops, adjusting with network load. Energy use is minimal. The design goal is not hype. It is fast, secure, low-cost settlement. If you prefer a picture, imagine global shipping before containers. Every port unpacked and repacked cargo by hand, slow, expensive, and corruptible. Then the container standard arrived, and the world could move goods without repacking at each border. Friction collapsed, and flow increased. XRP and the XRP ledger do that for value. They standardize movement so cross-border payments do not have to crawl through a maze of toll booths. Ripple is a private company that builds the cranes, software, and routing on top of those rails for banks and payment providers. It used to brand the stack RippleNet, and now talks about Ripple Payments, Liquidity Hub, and stablecoin rails. The point is simple. Give institutions a single connection so they can send and settle in seconds across more than 90 markets. But remember, the ledger is open infrastructure. It exists with or without any one company. I believe we are living through an internet-style shakeout. In the dot-com era, thousands of projects launched. Most vanished. The ones that solved real problems at scale survived and defined the next decades. Payments is one of the last slow pieces to modernize. XRP and the XRP ledger do useful work, standardizing and accelerating settlement and reducing pre-funding. That is survivor behavior. Let me state the design plainly. XRP's supply was fixed at Genesis, 100 billion XRP. No more will be created. Fees are microscopic and are burned, which adds a tiny counterweight over long horizons. Ledger close time is about 3 to 5 seconds. The point is utility, not flash. Now, why buy and why plan to hold for the very long term? Two forces. First, fiat debasement. Everything is priced in currencies that central banks expand over time. Scarce assets tend to drift upward in fiat terms if they remain relevant. Second, fixed supply with growing demand. Price is set where supply meets demand, and the market sets it at the margin. If institutions and people choose these rails for real payments, and if more of us choose to hold a working inventory for settlement or for conviction, the tradable float tightens. With a capped supply and rising real-world use, price pressure is not linear. It can step up in cycles. You will hear, XRP can never reach 3 digits because market cap. That is an oversimplification. Market cap is last price times reported supply. It is a snapshot, not a cash requirement. Price is set at the margin, not by buying the entire supply. Free float is not the total supply. Large portions are locked, long-term held, or simply not for sale. Utility also introduces velocity. The same units can settle many payments per day, so the value moved can far exceed the instantaneous market cap. When corridors deepen, market makers and institutions may hold working inventories sized to peak demand and risk buffers, which further tightens the liquid float. None of this guarantees any specific price, but it is why the "it can never" argument is not a law of nature. Here is where the calling meets the plan. If you know you are being squeezed by prices and you feel that inner peace about XRP, then the move is simple. Become your own bank. That means you buy what you can hold through storms, you self-custody with a reputable hardware wallet, and you protect your seed phrase offline, paper or steel, never screenshots or cloud. You use no leverage ever. You think in years, not in weeks. You welcome boredom. Why hold indefinitely? Because yield opportunities are coming as rails mature. As regulations clarify and real-world assets move on-chain, there will be conservative, enterprise-grade ways to earn on liquidity. Think of interest-like products, on-ledger liquidity provision, or institutional yield programs designed with compliance and risk controls. None of that is a promise or a timetable. It is simply where finance is headed. Tokenized instruments, 24/7 settlement, and programmatic payouts. If you are already positioned and already self-custodied, you can choose carefully when those options arrive. That is what becoming your own bank looks like. You decide how to allocate, when to deploy, and how to manage risk, instead of trusting global gatekeepers who profit from your delay. This is also why corruption and greed are being exposed. The old rails reward bottlenecks and tolls. The new rails reward flow and transparency. I believe chosen people are being awakened on purpose, people with resources, with discipline, and with compassion, so they can carry value through this transition and fund the good. If you are hearing this and peace is rising in you, that is your green light. If you are not, do not force it. Pray, wait, and act only when the peace returns. Practically, here is how I move. I start small and I keep stacking when I have peace. I never use leverage. I self-custody. I write my recovery words on paper or steel and store them safely. I double-check tax rules in each place I file. And I hold, not because I want a lottery ticket, but because I want sovereignty, flexibility, and the ability to serve when opportunities and yields arrive. Rising costs are real, the friction is real, the corruption is real, but so is the solution. I will keep holding because that is the call I received in 2018, and because my intuition remains strong, a soul knowing that XRP will rise dramatically over time. If you are one of the chosen to hear this now, you will know. Move slowly, stay humble, and let God lead every step. When the wealth transfer accelerates, be ready, not just to receive, but to steward.